Hello and welcome to a new series of Mastermind with me, Clive Myrie. In the spotlight tonight are Ruth Gibbons, a finance manager. Her specialist subject is the Spanish artist Francisco de Goya. Ben Spicer, a bar manager. He'll be answering questions on Peaky Blinders. Alexia Jarvis, a data analyst whose subject is Team GB at the 2020 Summer Olympics. And Davy Garrett, a community volunteer. His subject, the Philip Marlowe novels of Raymond Chandler. So, a new series of Mastermind begins, and what a special series it is. 50 years ago, the now famous Black Chair made its first appearance on the BBC, with the first host and interrogator, Magnus Magnusson, welcoming the contenders, as well as viewers to the show. Mastermind has since gone on to become the pinnacle of quizzing. But who will it be half a century later who's crowned the new champion? Who will take possession of the magnificent Mastermind glass bowl? 2 minutes on a specialist subject and 2.5 minutes on general knowledge over the next few months across the heats, the semis, and the grand final will decide. So now, can I ask our first contender to join us, please? Your name?
Ruth Gibbons.
Your occupation?
Finance manager.
And your specialist subject?
Francisco de Goya.
Yes, the influential Spanish artist described as the last of the old masters and the father of modern art. In 2 minutes, let's go. Goya was born in 1746 in which Aragonese village south of Zaragoza in northeastern Spain?
Fuente Todos.
Yes, which court painter, the elder brother of the artists Ramon and Manuel, was one of Goya's early patrons and became his brother-in-law following Goya's marriage to his sister Josefa in 1773.
Francisco Bayou.
Yes, in 1771, Goya received an honourable mention in a competition held by the Academy of Fine Arts in Parma for a painting of which general?
Hannibal.
Yes, between 1792 and 1793, Goya suffered a serious undiagnosed illness that left him with what permanent sensory impairment?
Deafness.
Yes, in Goya's The Picnic in 1776 tapestry cartoon, 5 young people sitting on the ground are approached by a woman selling what items from her basket?
Oranges.
Yes, Goya's 1783 portrait of which count features a table strewn with papers and a copy of the plans for the Imperial Canal of Aragon?
Count of Florida Blanca.
Yes, in 1799, Goya took out a front-page advertisement in the Diario de Madrid newspaper to announce an extensive series of etchings that are commonly known by what name?
The Caprichos.
Yes, in Witch's Sabbath, one of Goya's so-called black paintings, the devil appears on the left of the picture in the form of what animal?
A goat.
Yes, Goya's painting, sometimes called The Executions on Principe Pio Hill, is commonly known by what title derived from the date that events took place?
The 3rd of May, 1808.
Yes, in Goya's 1810 work, The Allegory of the City of Madrid, a young woman representing the city points towards an oval medallion that bears the words Dos de Mayo, but which initially bore whose portrait?
Joseph Bonaparte.
Yes, in 1817, Goya completed a painting depicting the patron saints Justa and Rufina that featured which city's cathedral in the background?
Seville.
Yes, Goya painted a portrait of himself being cradled by which doctor to thank him for saving his life after he was struck ill in 1819?
Dr. Arrieta.
Yes, in Goya's portrait of the young Manuel Osorio Manrique de Zuniga, painted in the 1780s, the artist's signature appears on a calling card held in the beak of what bird?
A magpie.
It is a magpie. Ruth, you had no passes. And at the end of that round, you've got 13 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. Your name?
Ben Spicer.
Your occupation?
Bar manager.
Your specialist subject?
Peaky Blinders.
The television drama series about a family of Birmingham gangsters headed by Cillian Murphy's character, Thomas Shelby. In 2 minutes, let's go. What's the name of the pub bought by Thomas Shelby for his older brother that the family uses as one of their bases throughout the series?
The Garrison.
Yes, Chief Inspector Chester Campbell, played by Sam Neill, is tasked by Winston Churchill with finding a missing crate of firearms in Birmingham, having built his reputation in which other city?
Belfast.
Yes, who directed the first 3 episodes of the show and won a BAFTA Television Craft Award in 2014 in the Best Director Fiction category?
Otto Bathurst.
Yes, Thomas Shelby is a veteran of the First World War whose PTSD is a recurring theme throughout all 6 series of the show, and his fellow veterans sometimes still address him by what army rank?
Sergeant Major.
Yes, what's the name of the jazz club run by the Italian gang leader Darby Sabini, which is first seen when the Peaky Blinders visit London in the opening episode of Series 2?
The Eden Club.
Yes, what name does Thomas give the grey filly that he asks May Carlton to train for the Epsom Derby?
Grace's Secret.
Yes, the Nick Cave song Red Right Hand serves as the show's title music, although recordings of it by different artists are occasionally used, including a version by Jarvis Cocker. And which American singer in the episode The Duel?
Iggy Pop.
Yes, which Birmingham-born writer and poet plays the preacher Jeremiah Jimmy Jesus throughout all 6 series of the show?
Benjamin Zephaniah.
Yes, when Grace returns from America to England, she meets up again with Tommy, for whom she'd been a barmaid while working undercover, and he introduces her to which film star?
Charlie Chaplin.
Yes, what's the first name of the father of the Shelby siblings who deserted 10 years before and returns briefly in 1919?
Arthur.
Yes, when Polly Gray's son Michael is introduced, he's living with his adoptive parents under what name?
Henry Johnson.
Yes, in the Series 4 episode entitled The Company, set in the mid-1920s, Thomas Shelby is elected as a Labour Member of Parliament for which constituency?
South Birmingham.
Yes, Birmingham South. What's the name of the boxer who fights Bonnie Gold for the Regional Welterweight Boxing Championship in the finale of Series 4 entitled The Company?
Goliath.
Yes, after whom did Ada and Freddie Thorne name their son?
Karl Marx.
Yes, at the beginning of Series 3, Tommy inspects 27 armoured vehicles that are being held by the Vigilance Committee in Bay 6 of which factory?
The Lanchester Motor Company.
It is the Lanchester Motor Company. You got them all right, Ben. 15 points, no passes.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. Your name
Alexia Jarvis,
and your occupation
data analyst.
and your specialist subject.
Team GB at the 2020 Summer Olympics.
The Great Britain and Northern Ireland Olympic team and its individual members who took part in the Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics. In 2 minutes, starting now, which swimmer successfully defended his 100 metres breaststroke title in Tokyo, winning Team GB's first gold of the Games?
Adam Peaty.
Yes, what's the full name of the track athlete who finished 9th in the final of her event in Tokyo, 30 years after her mother became a world champion in the same event in the same city?
Irish McColgan.
Yes, Paul Casey tied for 4th place in the men's golf tournament after being knocked out of the bronze medal playoff at the first extra hole. How many competitors started the playoff?
7.
Yes, 2 members of Team GB became the first British women to win multiple medals at 3 consecutive games. Laura Kenny was one. Who was the other?
Charlotte Dujardin.
Yes, the twin sisters Jennifer and Jessica Gadirova, who helped the women's artistic gymnastics team win Team GB's first medal in the event for 93 years, achieved identical scores on which piece of apparatus in the final?
Floor.
No, vault. A video of which swimmer's family celebrating went viral after they watched him secure gold at his first Olympics in a 1-2 finish for Team GB.
Tom Dean.
Yes, Marcus Mepstead was Team GB's only competitor in which sport in Tokyo?
Fencing.
Yes, Charlotte Worthington won the inaugural BMX Freestyle Olympic title after becoming the first woman to land which trick in competition?
Backflip 360.
Yes, Team GB's men's and women's rugby sevens teams finished in 4th place after both had beaten which country in their respective quarterfinals?
USA.
Yes, Helen Glover became the first British rower to compete at the Olympics after becoming a mother when she finished 4th in the women's pair in Tokyo alongside which silver medalist from Rio?
Polly Swan.
Yes, in which sport did Team GB win a men's individual medal for the first time by taking gold in Tokyo, a day after winning the women's event for the 2nd time?
Modern pentathlon.
Yes, which teenager broke Kelly Holmes' national record to win silver in a final that featured 2 other British athletes who also ran personal bests?
Keely Hodgkinson.
Yes, despite losing an early 2-goal lead in the women's hockey bronze medal match, Team GB eventually beat India 4-3 thanks to goals from Holly Penn-Webb and which other player?
Grace Bulsden.
Yes, the boxer Fraser Clark, who secured a bronze medal, started so I'll finish, when his quarter-final opponent, Murad Aliyev, was disqualified for excessive use of the head, competed in which weight category?
Super heavyweight.
It is super heavyweight. Alexia, you had no passes, and you've got 13 points.
Thank you very much.
And our final contender, please. Your name,
David Garrett,
your occupation,
community volunteer.
and your specialist subject.
The Philip Marlowe novels of Raymond Chandler.
The book's about the archetypal, hard-boiled private detective by one of the great writers of noir crime fiction. In 2 minutes, here we go. In Farewell, My Lovely, Philip Marlowe operates as a private investigator from his office in which building on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles?
The Cahuenga building.
Yes, what's the two-word name of the rare gold coin that Marlowe is hired to recover in The High Window?
The Brusher doubloon.
Yes, when Marlowe first meets Carmen Sternwood in The Big Sleep and she asks him for his name, what does he say it is?
Doghouse Riley.
Yes, in The Little Sister, Marlowe has a bottle of what brand of whiskey in his office and describes it as green label stuff out of his class entirely, concluding that it must have been given to him by a client.
Overholt.
No, Old Forester. In The Long Goodbye, what's the denomination of the banknote that Marlowe calls a portrait of Madison?
$5,000.
Yes, what's the name of the sandalwood-scented fragrance dubbed the champagne of perfumes that's sold by De Race Kingsley's company in The Lady in the Lake?
Gillerlane Regal.
Yes, in Farewell, My Lovely, Mrs. Grail, who's described by Marlowe as a blonde to make a bishop kick a hole in a stained glass window, was known by what name before her marriage?
Velma Valento.
Yes, in The Big Sleep, when Marlowe first visits Arthur Geiger's bookshop, he asks Agnes, the clerk, if she has an 1860 third edition of which classic novel?
Ben-Hur.
Yes, the businessman Steelgrave was supposedly in jail when Mo Stein was murdered, but a photograph shows him having lunch with Mavis Weld that day in which restaurant?
The Dancers.
Yes, in Farewell, My Lovely, Lindsay Marriott says that the necklace stolen from his friend consists of 60 carved beads made from a valuable type of what precious stone?
Jade.
Yes, at the end of Playback, the final book in the series, which of his former lovers rings Marlowe and asks him to marry her?
Linda Loring.
Yes, in The Lady in the Lake, a large spray of what flower in bloom in the fireplace of the playboy Chris Lavery's house makes Marlowe suspect that he's been up to Little Fawn Lake.
Manzanita.
Yes, in The Long Goodbye, Marlowe's friend Terry Lennox turns up at his home at 5 in the morning with a gun in his hand, wanting to lift to the airport in which Mexican city?
Tijuana.
Yes, in Farewell, My Lovely, what's the name of the psychic consultant whose calling cards Marlowe discovers inside 3 large Russian cigarettes?
Jules Amthor.
Yes, in The High Window, what's the name of the doctor who calls Marlowe, I've started, so I'll finish? A shop-soiled Galahad, after the private eye, has summoned him to his apartment to tend to a young woman, Merle Davis, who has collapsed.
Dr. Karl Moss.
It is Dr. Karl Moss. Davy, you had no passes. You've got 14 points.
Thank you.
And at the end of the specialist subjects round, let's have a look at the scores. In joint third place with 13 points each, Ruth and Alexia. In second place with 14 points, it's Davy. And in first place with 15 points, it's Ben. So now, the general knowledge round, and if there's a tie at the end, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, it's a tie break. So let's ask Ruth to join us again, please. So Ruth, you start with 13 points. You've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Starting now, a dish of leftover potatoes mixed with cabbage and then fried is known as bubbelan what?
Squeak.
Yes, according to a popular Christmas song covered by the Ronettes in 1963, what's the name of the snowman who was a happy jolly soul?
Frosty.
Yes, the name of which London street is used to refer generally to the British Civil Service because it's the location of several government departments and ministries, including the Cabinet Office.
Whitehall.
Yes, what style of hat, popularised in the 18th century and sometimes called a cocked hat, has the name derived from Latin words for three and horn?
Tricorn.
Yes, in the Star Trek television series, the Vulcan greeting regularly used by Mr. Spock is live long and what?
Prosper.
Yes, Bright's disease, named after the British physician Richard Bright, who identified it, is an old name for a condition that affects which pair of organs in the human body?
Eyes.
No, kidneys. A new 25-cent coin, which entered general circulation in the United States in January 2022, bears the image of which American author, poet, and civil rights activist?
Martin Luther King.
No, Maya Angelou. The Strait of Bonifacio separates Corsica from which other large Mediterranean island?
Sardinia.
Yes, the entrepreneur Steve Jobs was played by Ashton Kutcher in the 2013 film Jobs, and by which Irish actor in the 2015 film Steve Jobs?
Michael Fassbender.
Yes, one of the first mass-produced cars manufactured by the Ford Motor Company from 1908 until 1927 was said to be available in any colour so long as it's black. The model was designated by which letter of the alphabet?
T.
Yes, what word for an area of enclosed land planted with fruit trees is partly derived from the Latin for garden?
Orchard.
Yes, in which indoor game do teams from the United States and Europe compete against each other annually for the Mosconi Cup?
Ice hockey.
No, pool. What three-letter palindromic word is the usual term for an adult female sheep?
U.
Yes, what was the name of the RAF fighter pilot and equerry of King George VI, who, in the 1950s, wished to marry Princess Margaret, but was unable to do so because he'd previously been divorced?
Pass.
In the Charles Dickens novel David Copperfield, what's the name of the villainous clerk who regularly describes himself as humble?
Uriah Heep.
Yes, which Greek god of the arts and music was the twin brother of Artemis and the son of Zeus and Leto?
Apollo.
Yes, which long-running West End musical features the songs Honey Honey, One of Us and Slipping Through My Fingers?
Pass.
What's the official two-word name in the UK for the government funding made available to some people to help pay for representation in a court case?
Legal aid.
It is legal aid. And Ruth, you had just the two passes. Honey Honey, One of Us, Mamma Mia. And the name of the RAF fighter pilot and equerry of King George VI, who wished to marry Princess Margaret, but was unable to do so, Peter Townsend. And at the end of that round, Ruth, you now have 26 points. Next up, it's Alexia. So, Alexia, you start with 13 points. The score to beat as it stands is 26 points. You've got 2.5 minutes of general knowledge. Starting now. What's the usual term from a word of French origin meaning to descend for a large mass of snow, ice and rocks sliding rapidly down a mountainside?
Avalanche.
Yes, cork dork is a light-hearted term for someone who has a deep interest in what alcoholic drink?
Wine.
Yes, what was the professional name of Henry John Deutschendorf Jr., who co-wrote and performed the song Take Me Home, Country Roads?
Smith.
No, John Denver. What term from an Old English word meaning good news is a collective name for the first 4 books of the New Testament?
Pass.
The 2002 book, The Little Friend, is the second novel by which American author?
Atwood.
No, Donna Tartt. Asmara is the capital city of which African country?
Eritrea.
Yes. What alliterative term is used in retail to refer to a product sold at a low and often unprofitable price in order to attract customers?
Bargain buy.
No, Lost Leader, what American television sitcom, first broadcast from 2007 to 2019, has a theme song performed by the Canadian group Bare Naked Ladies that begins, Our whole universe was in a hot, dense state.
Big Bang Theory.
Yes, a Mediterranean and Middle Eastern dessert made from many layers of phyllo pastry, filled with chopped nuts and then soaked in honey or sugar syrup, is best known by what Turkish name?
Baklava.
Yes, what name from Latin words for alone and speak is given to a speech similar to a monologue delivered by an actor who speaks aloud a character's thoughts without addressing them to another actor?
Soliloquy.
Yes, Felix Mendelssohn's elder sister, who composed musical works such as the 1841 piano cycle Das Jahr, had what first name?
Fanny.
Yes, which motorway connects London to South Wales, where it joins the A48 at Pont Abraham?
M4.
Yes, what's the name of the small cylindrical device fitted in an electric plug that's designed to protect the cable by blowing if too much current flows through the circuit?
Fuse.
Yes, the notorious American outlaws with the surnames Parker and Barrow, who operated as a pair in the 1930s, were better known by what first names?
Bonnie and Clyde.
Yes, what's the professional name of the American actor Mark Sinclair, best known for his role as Dom Toretto in the Fast and Furious film franchise?
Vince.
No, Vin Diesel, when the Stone of Scone or Stone of Destiny was returned to Scotland from Westminster Abbey in 1996. It was installed in the castle in which city?
Edinburgh.
Yes, a type of diagram in which sets of related information are represented as overlapping circles is known by what name after the British logician who devised it?
Venn.
Yes, Venn diagram. The leathery egg case of skates and some sharks is commonly known by what name that refers to a mythical aquatic creature?
Mermaid group. I don't know.
Mermaid's purse. Alexa, you had just the one pass. What term from an Old English word meaning good news is a collective name for the first 4 books of the New Testament? It's Gospels. Yes, and at the end of that round, Alexia, You've got 25 points.
Thank you.
Next up, it's Davy. So, Davy, you start with 14 points. The score to beat as it stands is 26 points, and you've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. In a common expression, to be obsessed with something or be unable to stop thinking about it is to have what insect in one's bonnet?
A bee.
Yeah. The former Soviet-era agency with a name that translates into English as Committee for State Security is commonly known by what three-letter abbreviation?
KGB.
Yes, which British singer and musician had UK #1 albums in the 1980s entitled Face Value, No Jacket Required, and But Seriously?
Phil Collins.
Yes, what common adjective is used to describe water that does not readily form a lather with soap because of the calcium, magnesium, and other minerals that are dissolved in it?
Hard water.
Yes, in the 2016 film adaptation of The BFG by Roald Dahl, which Oscar-winning British actor plays the title role?
Oh, Mark Fabricant.
No, Mark Rylance. In 1986, Cory Aquino became the first female president of which East Asian country?
The Philippines.
Yes, the UK's official regulatory body for television, radio, broadband and phone services, formed in 2003, is known by what name?
Ofsted.
No, Ofcom. In 2005, which British chef bought the Hand and Flowers pub in Marlow, which was awarded its first Michelin star the following year and a second in 2012?
Jamie Oliver.
No, Tom Kerridge. In May 2022, which London football club won the Women's Super League title for a third consecutive season?
Wigan Wanderers.
No, Chelsea. What two-word literary term coined by the critic John Ruskin can be defined as the attribution of human emotions to animals or inanimate things and is exemplified by terms such as the cruel sea or the smiling sun?
Anthropomorphism.
No, pathetic fallacy. In the Gregorian calendar, which month of the year is named after the Roman god of war?
March.
Yes. What 1970s television sitcom starred Leonard Rossiter as Rupert Rigsby, the landlord of a run-down boarding house?
Rising Damp.
Yes, the large herbivorous semi-aquatic rodent with the scientific name castor fiber is more commonly known as the European or Eurasian what?
Beaver.
Yes. What name for an area of Manhattan in New York City between Broadway and the Hudson River is derived from triangle below Canal Street?
The Flatiron.
No, Tribeca. The best-selling 2021 children's book, Mega Monster, was written by which author?
Richard Gere.
No, David Walliams. In a repeated line from a song written by Noel Coward, first performed in the early 1930s, what four words precede "Go out in the midday sun"?
Mad Dogs and Englishmen.
Yes, which American pop artist and activist established a foundation in 1989, the year before his death? I've started, so I'll finish. The year before his death, at the age of just 31, to promote his work and to support impoverished children and people affected by HIV/AIDS.
Rock Hudson.
No, Keith Haring. And Davey, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got a total of 23 points.
Thank you.
And finally, let's have Ben again. So, Ben, you start with 15 points. The score to beat to get through to the semi-finals is Ruth's 26 points, and you've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. In a common expression, being able to provide food and basic necessities for oneself is to keep which animal from the door?
Wolf.
Yes, postcodes beginning with the letters SO cover addresses in and around which city in southern England?
Southampton.
Yes. What's the title of the debut single by Lil Nas X, a mixture of country music and rap, which topped the UK chart in 2019?
Old Town Road.
Yes. What name, meaning choosers of the slain, is given to the handmaidens of Norse mythology, who selected the bravest warriors deemed worthy of a place in Valhalla?
Valkyrie.
Yes, in his 1973 autobiography, which American pianist and entertainer famously wrote, "When the reviews are bad, I tell my staff that they can join me as I cry all the way to the bank."
Liberace.
Yes, what's the name of the title character in a series of 1930s adventure films who was accompanied by a chimpanzee called Cheetah?
Lodges.
No, Tarzan. Which US state, home to Rocky Mountain National Park, is nicknamed the Centennial State because it joined the Union in 1876, 100 years after the Declaration of Independence?
Colorado.
Yes, in January 2022, which tennis player won the 21st major singles title when he beat Daniil Medvedev in the men's final of the Australian Open?
Nadal?
Yes. What traditional Hungarian stew has a name that can be translated as herdsman or shepherd?
Borscht?
No, goulash. Which French crime drama television series, first shown in the UK in 2006, stars Caroline Proust as the Parisian detective Laura Berthaud?
Spiral?
Yes. The name of which metallic element with the chemical symbol CO is used to describe a deep shade of blue?
Cobalt?
Yes. The phrase, no man is an island, meaning that humans need the company of others to thrive, originally appeared in a 1624 work entitled Devotions upon Emergent Occasions by which English metaphysical poet and clergyman?
Santiana?
No, John Donne. Immediately before the introduction of the euro, the marka was the currency of which Nordic country?
Norway?
No, Finland. What name also, that of a garden tool, is given to the implement used by a croupier to gather chips on a casino table?
Hoe?
No, the rake. The sieve of Eratosthenes is a mathematical procedure for obtaining what type of number?
Irrational?
No, prime number. In weaving, what name is given to the lengthwise threads that are crossed with the weft to create the fabric?
Pass.
The author William Makepeace Thackeray was an early contributor to which satirical magazine noted for its cartoons that was launched in 1841 and ceased publication in 2002?
Punch?
Yes. Which ancient empire was ruled over... I've started, so I'll finish. Which ancient empire was ruled over by the Achaemenid dynasty and was finally defeated by Alexander the Great in 330 BC?
The Persian Empire.
It was the Persian Empire. So, Ben, you had one pass in weaving, the name given to the lengthwise threads that are crossed with the weft to create the fabric. Warp. And at the end of that round, you have a total of 26 points.
Thanks.
My word, the intensity of that high-scoring game, and it's come down to the finest of margins. Let's have a look at the final scores. In fourth place, with 23 points, it's Davy. In third place, with 25 points, Alexia. In second place, with 26 points and 2 passes, is Ruth, which means in first place, with 26 points and 1 pass, it's Ben, which means he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. If you would like to be a contender in the next series, please go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. Join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
There's a real battle in there. Ruth, I know, got 26 points. And then I knew that I had to get 11 in my general knowledge round to match her. And I just about did it and scraped through. So I chose Peaky Blinders because it's just a great TV show. I really enjoy watching it. It's easy to watch. I found the revision fun.
You got them all right, Ben. 15 points, no passes.
Thank you. And you can see how enthusiastic I am with the flat cap and the waistcoat. But I'd just like to give a bit of a shout out to my mum, who's really helped me with my revision, asking me all sorts of questions about the Peaky Blinders. So she's been a great help.